After the Charlotte Hornets narrowly missed out on the playoffs last season, falling in the play-in games, there's some reasons to be optimistic about this team moving forward and why they could finally make a playoff berth in this upcoming season. So we're going to be talking about that in this video and some of the potential steps and moves they could make this summer to try and improve the squad moving forward. Talk about some of their upcoming free agents, a need for a center, as well as some potential trades that we could see along the way. That being said, if you guys do enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new to join one of the fastest growing NBA channels on YouTube. With that being said, let's get right into it. And so, first off, let's just talk about their picks they have in this upcoming 2021 NBA draft. They currently own the 11th, 56th, and 57th overall pick in this year's NBA draft. So they have some options to move themselves up in the second round to try and acquire a better second round pick if they want it. And they possess a lottery pick as well, which they can either use in a trade package, don't expect them to, but more so than likely add another good young talent to this team, as they continue to add good young talent to a team that is continuing to improve year in, year out. And so first off, I want to talk about, or briefly talk about, the restricted free agents in Malik Monk and Devontae Graham. I'm not going to delve into this too much because I already have another video that has talked about the Malik Monk and Devontae Graham scenario for the Charlotte Hornets and what I would do if I was the Charlotte Hornets moving forward with that duo. And so I'll put the link in the description of this video to that video if you want to hear more about Malik Monk and Devontae Graham and how I feel about that. But simply put, I think Malik Monk has to be the priority of the two. Again, RFAs, you have to be able to get them at the right price. If someone matches, if someone puts in an offer sheet on them that is just an absolutely absurd price, I'm not a fan of what we're paying, especially with all the young talent the Charlotte Hornets roster already has. They're going to get in cap trouble if they start overpaying guys. And so I would not advise that. But Malik Monk has to be the priority. He's just a good scoring guard. He can come off the bench and get them some buckets. And that's something that I think they need. And they don't really have anyone else on the roster other than Devontae Graham. But Devontae Graham is more of a traditional point guard or playmaker, which I think is a bit redundant on this roster now with LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier. And so I think Malik Monk has to be the priority. If Devontae Graham, you can get it at a good price, great. But if you can't, or you don't want to give him that much money, that's fine. You bring back Brad Wanamaker. He can be a backup guard for you as well, alongside Malik Monk, LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier. That's a fine guard rotation moving forward. You may end up even drafting a guard as well, and then that changes things. So there's some considerations here for the Hornets, but Malik Monk has to be priority for me. But like I said, I go way more in depth than that in a separate video I will put down in the description. But the main priority has to be a center. It just does. Center has been the biggest issue for the Charlotte Hornets in this past season. Cody Zeller and Bismack Biyombo with the center rotation. Cody Zeller, getting paid $15 million a year, has to be one of the worst current contracts in the league for someone that isn't a big name star like a John Wall, Kevin Love that's eating away money. But Cody Zeller will walk this summer. He's a free agent. I find it highly unlikely that the Charlotte Hornets do bring him back. And so they are going to be looking for a new starting center, whether that's via trade, potentially a sign and trade with Miles Turner. You can see Devontae Graham go to the Pacers if they want a more traditional guard, or something along those lines as a potential hypothetical. You could also see Nerlens Noel, who's a free agent, Rashawn Holmes, who's a free agent, be someone that the Charlotte Hornets are interested in as well. So that's the type of players that they need to be looking for at that center position moving into the summer. Bismack Biyombo may be brought back at a minimum to be the backup again. I think he's fine as a backup, but he definitely can't be your starter. They need to improve the starting center position this year. That's definitely, and very noticeably to anyone who watched the Hornets, the biggest weakness on this team. But there are a lot of bright spots, of course. Gordon Hayward still has 3 years left on his deal, and although he got injured again last year, which continues to be the issue for him, is health. He did look very good and was very helpful and impactful for this team when healthy. Terry Rozier had another very good season. LaMelo Ball looked very good in his rookie year, and I expect him to have a big improvement year 2. PJ Washington had another good season, although his defense does still concern me sometimes, especially in that play-in game. I know it's only one game, but his defense needs to improve most definitely for him to continue to have an impactful career. But I really like what I've seen from him so far. Miles Bridges in the back half of the year absolutely broke out, starting to play like his brother Mikal in Phoenix at a higher level. And if he can continue that development path, then they have a legit second or third option on this team alongside LaMelo Ball and Gordon Hayward. And then it's just the other guys, really, as far as who they want to bring back out of Graham and Monk. And then you have some more good depth as well. Jaden McDaniels had some good moments late in the year as well. Maybe he can be a good bench piece. You have the 2 Martin brothers as well, and they could provide some value. So they have some good pieces they can work with on the bench and try and develop some nice role players out of for sure. And so it really just comes down to, at this point, they have to manage their contracts well moving forward. Because, of course, it's like all these rebuilding teams go through. They acquire young talent, bring in the pieces, and now they're starting to get to the point right now with Monk and Devontae Graham, and in the next couple of years, they have to start paying these guys, and they have to be smart with how they do it. LaMelo Ball, of course, is still locked up for another 3 years. He's okay, but Miles Bridges only has 1 more year. He needs a new contract then. He might be wanting a lot of money. PJ Washington, only 2 more years. And then, of course, Graham and Monk this summer. Terry Rozier only has 1 more year as well. And that's another decision that could motivate the Devontae Graham potential signing, is if Charlotte don't feel confident in bringing back Terry Rozier, or simply don't want to bring back Terry Rozier, they're going to bring back Devontae Graham, because then they're just too thin on guards, unless they really don't like Devontae Graham, which I don't think is the case. And so that's really going to motivate Devontae Graham signing a bit more, if that is the case. But as I've mentioned with some of these offseason preview videos for other teams, one of the biggest things for Charlotte now is just being smart with their contracts, who they pay, how much they pay them, and who they want to build around. They have to evaluate their talent and figure out who they want to trade and move on from to try and acquire another piece or a star or whatever they wish to do. They just need to decide who they actually want to commit to as the core future of this team. That could involve a Gordon Hayward trade. Maybe we see him flipped and they try and get someone who fits the timeline a bit more. That remains to be seen. But there's definitely a lot of direction Charlotte can go in, and it's always good when you have options, you have direction, you have your most likely leading star in LaMelo Ball already on the team, and that is the hardest part of a rebuild, is acquiring that star, and I think they've acquired that in LaMelo Ball. Now it's just fitting the pieces around it. Not that that's an easy job to do, but getting the star is the hardest part, and I think the Charlotte Hornets are in a good spot moving forward throughout the next few years to have themselves a competitive team in the Eastern Conference, and nonetheless be a playoff team, and a team that I think should push for a playoff spot this season. I had them as an 8 to 9 seed last year, hoping for them to get in. Didn't quite do it, of course, but hopefully this year can be the year that I think it can get a playoff berth in. You'd have to say, if Charlotte didn't have the injuries to LaMelo Ball and Gordon Hayward like they did last year, that they would be in the playoffs, or at least in a much better position to do so via the play-in games. They were in a playoff spot prior to those injuries really hitting them hard, and then they really fell off. And so if they can stay healthy next year, they improve their center, I think this is definitely a team that can push for a playoff spot. But keep in mind, Indiana, Toronto are going to be pushing for spots now as well when they have health. So it's going to be a tough battle out in the Eastern Conference to get in. It might have to go through the play-in games again, but I think this is a team that you can definitely keep on your radar to be a playoff team this summer, a playoff team next season, as long as they do well in their offseason moves this summer. But yeah, that is my thoughts on the Charlotte Hornets moving forward. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you guys want more content like this, I have more What's Next videos is the name of the playlist, and I've done more offseason previews for all other teams in the NBA, and I'll be continuing to do so up to the lead up in the draft. So if that is something you're interested in, then be sure to check that out. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we'll have the link in the description of my Devontae Graham and Malik Monk video down below. And so if that's something you're interested in, be sure to check that out. And I should also have that popping up on screen right now as you guys are hearing this. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.